What if I told you that the course of World War II in the Pacific was decided in just 5 minutes? 5 minutes during which fate flipped, when one navy lost everything and another seized the chance no one believed possible. This is the story of the Battle of Midway, the battle of codebreakers and pilots, of bold decisions and fatal hesitation. A battle where the ocean itself seemed to hold its breath. In June 1942, the Japanese Empire stood at the height of its power. Pearl Harbor was still burning in American memory, and Japan's Navy, the most experienced carrier force in the world, seemed unstoppable. But in a remote corner of the Pacific, near a tiny atoll barely visible on a map, the U.S. Navy was preparing an ambush that would change everything. This is how it happened. Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, architect of Pearl Harbor, believed the U.S. Pacific Fleet had to be destroyed completely before America's industrial might awakened. His strategy? Lure the remaining U.S. carriers into a trap by attacking Midway Atoll, a tiny piece of land holding a crucial airstrip. Japan deployed an enormous force, 4 frontline aircraft carriers, Agaki, Kaga, Soryu, Hiryu, 2 battleships, cruisers, destroyers, and a separate invasion fleet, over 200 carrier-based aircraft. To Yamamoto, it was simple. Strike Midway, draw out the Americans, crush their carriers. But he didn't know one thing, a secret that would rewrite history. Inside a quiet building in Pearl Harbor, U.S. Navy codebreakers led by Commander Joseph Rochefort had cracked key portions of JN-25, Japan's naval code. They knew the time, they knew the targets, they knew AF, the mysterious objective was Midway. To confirm it, they sent a fake message claiming Midway's water system had failed. Japan reported that AF was short of water. Proof complete. Admiral Chester Nimitz made a daring decision. Instead of defending, he would ambush the ambushers. He deployed 3 carriers, Enterprise, Hornet, and the hastily repaired Yorktown. Outnumbered, outgunned, but not outsmarted. June 3rd. The ocean was calm, too calm. Every pilot, every sailor knew something massive was coming. American patrol aircraft spotted the Japanese invasion force approaching from the west. B-17 bombers attacked, but with little effect. Midway would face the storm alone. At dawn on June 4th, Japanese carrier aircraft launched their first strike, pounding Midway's defenses. The atoll burned, hangars collapsed, fuel tanks ignited. But Midway's defenders kept sending up planes, obsolete fighters struggling against experienced Japanese pilots. Yet while Japan focused on Midway, American carriers remained unseen, waiting in silence beyond the horizon. Midway-based bombers found the Japanese fleet first, but missed. Then came the U.S. carrier aircraft, but disorganized, arriving in small, isolated groups. Torpedo Squadron 8 from the Hornet flew in at sea level, slow and vulnerable. Not one aircraft returned. Torpedo Squadron 6 from Enterprise followed, nearly wiped out. Torpedo Squadron 3 from Yorktown attacked next, same fate. They scored no hits, but their sacrifice dragged Japanese fighters downward, scattering their formations and leaving the carriers momentarily exposed. Those doomed flights set up the decisive moment of the entire battle. High above the chaos, almost out of fuel, U.S. dive bombers from Enterprise and Yorktown finally arrived by pure luck and a last-second course correction. At 10:22 a.m., with Japanese fighters low and the decks crowded with fuel hoses, bombs, and armed aircraft, the sky opened. Dive bombers screamed down from 20,000 feet. In minutes, Akagi hit. Kaga hit. Soryu hit. Explosions tore through their hangars. Firestorms engulfed entire decks. 3 of Japan's frontline carriers were turned into flaming wrecks in 5 minutes. The tide of the Pacific War shifted in a single stroke. 1 carrier remained, Hiryu. Her pilots launched a counterattack with stunning precision, striking Yorktown twice. The ship was mortally wounded, though her crew's damage control efforts kept her afloat for hours. But now the Americans had found Hiryu. Dive bombers from Enterprise struck her in the afternoon. Flames consumed the last Japanese carrier. By nightfall, the once invincible Kido Butai, the heart of Japan's navy, was gone. Japan lost 4 carriers, hundreds of aircraft, many of its best pilots, losses that could never be replaced. The U.S. lost Yorktown, but America's industrial machine would soon launch new carriers faster than Japan could dream of replacing theirs. Midway wasn't just a battle, it was a turning point, the moment the Pacific War shifted from Japanese offense to American momentum, a moment where intelligence, bravery, and timing shattered a seemingly unstoppable empire. The Battle of Midway remains one of the most astonishing naval victories in history. A triumph of codebreakers and aviators. A story of sacrifice and of a gamble that paid off beyond imagination. 1 battle, 5 minutes of fire, and a world forever changed.
Captain Simard of the Navy. Colonel Shannon. Major Roosevelt.